It's no secret that the United States has an extremely ineffective prison system. In this video, I'll be going through the causes of the prison system's ineffectiveness and potential solutions to the problems. First, let's get into recidivism. According to vocabulary.com, recidivism is a habitual relapse in a crime. And among other countries, the United States of America has one of the highest recidivism rates. According to the National Institute of Justice, within 3 years of release, 67.8% of released prisoners were rearrested. And within 5 years of release, 76.6% of released prisoners were rearrested. This means even after being released, it's not unlikely for someone to go back to prison in their lifetime. Now let's look at another country's recidivism rate. According to salve.edu, Norway has one of the lowest recidivism rates at 20%. And a lot of it has to do with the treatment of prisoners. The standard prison size of a United States prison cell is 6 by 8 feet. So for most hours of the day, prisoners in the United States are confined to a space the size of a large closet.
This is cell 4100 in San Quentin, and this is where I live temporarily for now. I don't have a great view this evening. All right, this is our lovely sink where we shave and do our thing, and we wash up in the morning. And this is our little cabinet that we had done for us. I'm sitting on the toilet. This is our toilet right here that we have. So this is basically our kitchen and our toilet area where we go. Our spice racks over here for our food, because I do a lot of cooking. Being a wop that I am, I gotta cook to eat. I hope my porch is clean. We have a tier tender that comes by and sweeps.
This kind of treatment seems okay as a punishment. And it seems that the prison systems are more focused on punishing than they are fitting the prisoners for society after release. However, if we were talking about recidivism, then it is ineffective. Speaking of punishment, let's talk about solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is a punishment inside of the prisons in the United States. Prisoners are left in a small cell for 23 to 24 hours of a day with no social interactions with other humans. This has devastating effects on the mind. According to the Journal of the American Academy of Psychiatric and the Law, prisoners punished by solitary confinement may experience anxiety, depression, anger, cognitive disturbances, perpetual distortion, obsessive thoughts, paranoia, and psychosis. You may be asking, how does all of this affect the recidivism rate? Because of these conditions, it makes it harder for prisoners who get released to re-enter society. This is a Norwegian prison. Rather than focus on punishment, they focus on rehabilitation.
One prison governor explains, in the law, being sent to prison is nothing to do with putting you in a terrible prison to make you suffer. The punishment is that you lose your freedom. If we treat people like animals when they're in prison, they're likely to behave like animals. Here, we pay attention to you as a human being.
Some may argue that prisoners do not deserve to be treated as humans. However, a lower recidivism rate means less crime. And that is more beneficial to society than focusing on the punishment of criminals. In Norway, the prisons are built to look as close to the outside world as possible. Prisoners are also required to have jobs.
They have to wake themselves up in the morning, make their own breakfast, and go to work.
I'm working outside with ordinary people. I go down and take the ferry out of the island and go to the shore and travel to work. I'm only here on the weekends and the nights, so that's good.
I tried to get a job on this ferry right away. We got a good opportunity to smuggle and run away, and so.
Did you ever think about doing that?
Nah.
We had a prisoner here. He was convicted for murder. He cut 2 people up with a chainsaw. And most people will think that this kind of person cannot be in this kind of prison. He have to be locked up. But he came to this prison on the last time of his sentence, and he served here for 4 years, and he worked in the forest with a chainsaw.
This is an example of a Norwegian prison cell. Unlike in America, these cells are built to be humane. Instead of the prisoners living in wings, they live in small pod communities. Here's a clip of what it's like to be in a Norwegian prison.
I'm having a hard time believing that I'm in a prison. I know there's a lot of different education and vocational programmings that are available for inmates to prepare them for work on the outside, but I must say I've never seen anything like this.
This is the living room for the inmates sharing this room. It's a population of 10 inmates and down the corridor with each cell, and this is the joint living room. So this is where they watch TV, eat dinner, breakfast, and they have a washing room also because they wash their own clothes.
I wonder if there's an inventory of these. Is there a count of these? How many are here? In a library, I assume, like I can take a book out and take it back to my cell and read it. Can I take out a DVD?
Yes.
Take it back to my cell and watch it?
Yes.
I'm looking for Escape from Alcatraz.
Now let's take a look at some solutions. It may be obvious already, but having the US prison exactly like the Norway prison system is simply impossible. There are simply too many people in the US prison systems. According to the US Bureau of Justice Statistics, there were over 2 million adults incarcerated in US federal and state prisons and county jails in 2013. In Norway, there are under 4,000 prisoners. This means that they are able to spend more money per prisoner. But one thing that could be done is increase the amount of paroles given out, specifically for offenders with nonviolent crimes. This will lower the amount of people in prison, and it's also cheaper. According to Georgia.org, it costs $4.49 per person on parole, compared to $53 per inmate. This has been proven to work in the past. The Reverse Mass Incarceration Act cut prisoners down by 25% in California and reduced violent crimes by 21%. Having a lower prison population may increase the quality of life inside of prison, meaning that the people in prison actually be treated as humans instead of animals. This would work because there'd be less prisoners for the guards to manage. Overall, there'd be less people in the prison system, so there'd be less chaos. It would also be beneficial because the people on probation will be working jobs and paying taxes, while the people in prison are contributing nothing to society. Another solution would be to lessen punishments for nonviolent crimes. In 2012, there were about 3,000 people serving life sentences for nonviolent crimes.
Did you know that 1 in 9 prisoners in the U.S. are serving life without parole? So now, when you look at what it used to be, you know that it has quadrupled since 1984. There are 3,278 people serving life without parole in the United States for non-violent offenses. Some of the offenses were a trace amount of cocaine in your pocket that were naked to the visible eye. One was for shoplifting at Walmart. Another one, trace amounts of heroin can't be seen. But let me give you one specific example that really shook me. It's of Jesse Webster. Now, Jesse Webster had no criminal record whatsoever when he was busted for an aborted cocaine deal. So the deal never even happened, right? And he had a couple of accomplices, the government said, and they turned him in. Now, he didn't turn them in. He didn't go to the government and cooperate with them. Mainly, he said, because he was so scared that something was going to happen to his family, because he wasn't in that life. So he's worried that they were going to go get him, and he had nobody to protect him. Now, his co-conspirators had no problem turning on him. They had long criminal records. So get a load of this injustice. The way that our topsy-turvy world works is that he got a life sentence. They got less than 5 years.
Now, one reason that the Norwegian prison can keep their population so low is because they don't imprison people for small drug crimes. Instead, they give them probation or community service. Quite the opposite from the US, as you could tell from the last clip. Another solution would be to give the prisoners jobs, much like in the Norwegian prison system. This way, when they leave prison, they leave with a sense of responsibility and a set of skills that may help them in the real world. Another thing that could be fixed is the education. Take a look at this clip.
It's been years since your prison education fantasy was a reality. Back in 1847, Sing Sing's prison education program had a curriculum that included reading, writing, math, history, geography, physiology, and even phys ed.
Well, great. Sign me up. That was a long time ago. Government budget cuts have systematically eliminated any opportunity for people to educate themselves while in prison.
In 1994, tough on crime was all the rage, and American politicians hated the idea that prisoners should get anything.
Bad guys getting Pell Grants? No, they should be getting Hell's Ants or something. I hate them.
Since then, we've gone from having 350 college degree programs for prisoners across the country to just 12. And good luck getting into the programs that do exist. The largest prison training program in the country has a waiting list of 10,000 people.
Excuse me, how long have you been waiting here?
And this is a real shame because studies show that education is the easiest, cheapest way to reduce recidivism.
Though it may not be cost effective, if the government were to be able to put money back into the prison education system, the recidivism rate in the United States would drop. Overall, the United States' harsh prison system is not effective and should be changed to be more humane.